G8 Education Limited, the childcare centre company. Did you know they were on the stock exchange? Well, in today's video, we'll find out more about G8 Education. We will look into the history of the company, where it's going, what brands they're into, take a look at the finances of the company, and what the future holds, and what they need to do if they want to skyrocket to the moon. First off, let's talk about G8 Education Limited's history and what it actually provides for all the kids around Australia and Singapore. G8 Education provides developmental and educational childcare services. The company's principal activities include the operation of early education centres owned by the company and its subsidiaries, and the ownership of early education centre franchises like Bambino's, Cool Kid, Creative Garden, Great Beginnings, Pelican Childcare, Head Start, and so much more. G8 provides quality care and education facilities across Australia and Singapore, as I mentioned, for a range of brands. The company portfolio consists of approximately 492 centres in Australia and Singapore, with reaching towards 50,000 children under their care. Now let's go back and see how G8 Education Limited began. From its humble beginnings as a family-owned operated company with 30 early learning centres in 2007, G8 Education has grown to become Australia's largest public listed provider of early childhood education and care. Following a period of exceptional growth and demand, G8 Education developed a clearly defined vision to support families with quality early childhood education and care options. Under its umbrella of there are 21 brands and count. Together we are one team, as G8 Education has it on their website, with 95,000 dedicated, passionate and supportive team members. Regardless of the brand, each child we care for in their centres are special individuals, nurtured and inspired to be the very best they can be, with a clear purpose of shaping generations now and the next. We are committed to becoming the leading provider of quality early childhood education and care. To achieve this, they have 5 key words that they value and they like to share every day with the kids they support. Number 1 is passion. We have infectious positive attitude and excited every day to be part of this unique calling. Second they have is innovation. Children see the world in a simpler way than adults. Well, you could argue they see it in an even greater way than adults. They have more imagination. This is me just coming from an outsider looking in. And sometimes it's a simple path that leads to the greatest innovation. Number 3, dedication. Gotta have dedication. We go home tired but satisfied every day, knowing that we put our hearts and souls into making our families and children proud to be our partner. Compassion. Our smallest act of kindness often puts the largest smile on a face. Yes, and number 5, gotta have integrity. Absolutely integrity. Our moral compass points true north and is a beacon for the little eye. Watch and interpret our actions. That all sounds amazing, but how about you, the investor out there, looking to maybe invest into G8 Education Limited? What's happening there? Does this company make a sound investment for you? Well, lucky you have me to guide you the way towards making the right choice about investing or not. This is not financial, but remember to smash the like button so the YouTube algorithm shares my videos all across the globe, and subscribe to the channel so that all the beautiful kids that go to G8 Education have a lovely year. Now let's look at the financials of G8 Education Limited. First off is their market cap of $900 million. For anyone new to the channel or part of the company going, whoa, that's big. Well, just to give you an example of a company, one of the biggest companies in the world, you got Apple. Apple computers are $24 trillion, not billion, trillion dollars. Woohoo! So on the scale of things, it's only a fairly small company. It's not super small, but in terms of worldwide, it's only just beginning. The PE ratio is around 20, which is similar to Apple, believe it or not. So there's a possibility there is growth in the future of the G8 Limited Education Limited. A recent report from April sees the childcare centres operator provided a trading update. It advised that the high volume of Omicron cases in all markets impacted revenue, occupancy, performance, and employment costs in January and February and continued to flow into March. Something else I found interesting here at G8 Education, that only less than 1% of the actual whole company or board have money invested into the company. Now, if you compare this to a lot of other companies, other companies will have 10, 20%. So what is doing here? So what about the employees? Are they getting the opportunity to invest into this company? Are you giving bonuses out to this? Wouldn't that be nice for all you G8 educators out there? Wouldn't that be a nice bonus to be invested into a company? Even if you're not into investing, just a good way to start. With only around $4 million in the G8 board and CEOs actually have invested into the company, which is very interesting considering they're a $900 billion company. It's not that great if you're wanting to go to the moon with this company. There is a small dividend of around 3 cents a share and roughly at about 2.8% yield per year. So you will be waiting about 50 years to get your money back just from the dividend. And just to understand for people at home that are new to this channel, maybe the dividend yield, it goes, if the price goes up, say for instance, if the price keeps going up, dividend yield decreases. So say it went to $2 and now it'll be 1.4% yield because you're not getting as much bang for your buck with it being 3 cents. Then if it went the other way and went down to 50 cents from roughly $1 now, it would have, boom, you're at 5.8 or 5.6% because it's half in price, but the dividend of 3 cents is still there. Okay, so that's just to try to give you a plain example of what happens if it goes up and down, why the dividend yield goes up and down. It's because it depends on the stock price. Revenue 2021 increased by 90 million from the year before to 886 million. Well done. Has the company stagnated over time? Well, one issue they had in 2020 was they had a $270 million impairment loss on their assets, which in simple terms, they overpaid for some of their centers, making their net profit negative for 2020 from a loss of $188 million to a profit of $45 million. But if you take their minus out of the equation in 2020, they would have been positive net profit in 2020. So really, they are doing quite well in terms of net profit. Well, one big concern for G8, that is their cash equivalents has dropped significantly from 316 million down to 74 million in 2021. But mainly this was caused because paid off some of their long-term debt, which is very good to see for G8. It's a very good sign that your company is doing the right thing around you if you're an investor or looking to be an investor. So that is a positive. Obviously, before all the interest rates skyrocketed again, so a smart decision there. So overall, the G8 Education Limited company is not a bad company overall. They're doing a good thing for a lot of kids in Australia and Singapore. But obviously the concerns are from the management side for people trying to invest is they need to be smarter in their investing and buying their properties. They need to buy it at the right price and not sometimes panic and buy at a too high a price, which leads to less profit. And the chances to buy more and more centres if you're overpaid because you will have less equity in the company. Now, what do G8 Education Limited have to do to improve to get people to actually buy into this company? There is a lot of people obviously in the company already, but if they really want to skyrocket and get to decent sort of levels, well, for first, if they want to double what they got and get close to 2 billion market cap, they've got to get to 1,000 centres. They're roughly at 500 now. They need to double it. And how long does that take? 5-10 years? And the rate they're going at the moment is probably more like 20 years. So they really need to ramp up that if they really want to get their price of stock going up and getting more people invested, and especially the hedge funds and that. That's where most of the big money comes from. At the moment, I don't think there's a lot of money. There's a few hedge funds that'll have it, but if you want a lot more hedge funds to come in, you really need to show their growth. And the other way to do it, which a lot of people obviously don't like, and obviously it won't help the people that are currently working there, but is to cut costs. It's by cutting your labor and letting people go, job losses. Now that is the other way that companies can look at getting profit for the investors, but obviously it's not a good look for the companies and the centres itself, because there's a lot more pressure on the people working there currently. If there's less number of workers, it just makes it harder for them to do their job properly, and it can lead to mistakes. And if you look at what happened at Good Star with a tragedy of a loss of a child in 2020, G8 Education doesn't want to go down that channel. And being a shareholder, not seeing a lot of information around how they're going to grow this company, there's a big concern if you're wanting to invest in the company, if you don't really know where they're heading. They have a lot about what they're doing in terms of the centre, where they're going in that space, which is fine, but in terms of where they're actually going to make their money, they need to obviously get more centres out there and keep working their way up. But one positive I saw out of their annual report here is that they had 65 centres go under check for their national standard, and 92% come back meeting expectations or absolutely exploding out the gate, top class educational care. So that's very good to see from G8 Education Limited. Now let's have a look at the stock price. Well, if we do a bit of analysis of the last 10 years, it's started off at under $1 at around 96 cents in May 2012. Just over 2 years in September 2014, it skyrockets to over $5.58. And you would have gone, woohoo, celebrating. Woohoo, I'm a millionaire. Depending if you put a whole lot of money in there. You put 200K in there, you would have been a millionaire. But what happened after that? It was all down south from there, unfortunately, at the moment with the stock. If you're still in the stock now, you're probably scratching your head and probably still at a loss, especially if you had a lot of money in it back then. Because by 2016, it dropped to about $2.90 from $5.58, and it had fluctuated between $3 and $4.50 for the next 3 years. But ever since March 2019, it's been all downhill from there, and it's down to a price of around $1.15 depending when this comes out. So basically, for investors at the last 3 years, they don't see any growth in the company, and that's why it just keeps going down and down and down. So where do you find this growth? Well, the one thing I actually found is that in Adelaide there is 5 centres coming, 5 new centres. That is outstanding, but that needs to upright to 50, if not 100 in a year, all across Australia. And where else can they go? New Zealand. I think New Zealand is a prime opportunity for them now to go into New Zealand. The same, and they might have to improve their processes when they go to New Zealand. It's something they'll need to look at if they go into New Zealand. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I thought I'd just let you know who are the top 5 shareholders in this company right now. First off, we have HSBC, custody nominee. Now, this is a British company. So the British company owns 24% of GA Education Limited. So they obviously have a big say in what happens with this company. Second up is Citicorp, which has 185 million shares, and they have 21%. Then next is JP Morgan. They dropped down to about 11% shareholding. National Nominees Limited is at about 9%. And then PNB Paribas Noms Pty Limited have about a 3% share in the company. Well, that's it from me for the GA Education Limited company. I think if you want the right price for me, I think 70 cents was the bargain price when it dropped to that just after the Rona hit, because I see pretty much slow growth for the moment until they say they're going to have a whole lot of centres coming in the next 10 years, say this is what's going to happen in the next 10-year long-term strategy. You probably need to see a bit more of that out there available to really get the investors motivated to buy it. And just to give you an example of where they need to be with the same sort of profits from every centre and adding it on, they need to get to about 2,500 centres to get to $5. It doesn't mean that's not necessarily the case. It's not the only thing, but it's just if you're just going purely on the business where it is now at a 500, if you want it to 5 times, you need to get 5 times the more things. So 2,500 centres need to come if they want to get to their price limit. So that's, and then it can snowball from there and skyrocket up higher. So where do they get there? If you can't get into one country, you need to go to other countries. So that's where I see GA Education going, if that's what they want to do, if they want to be a very big company. So right now, GA Education Limited is not a buy for me. I think the stock price would probably just about have to halve for me to even really think about investing big time. It's not a bad company at the moment, but I just can't see it being a super big company. As you see, there's a lot of centres they're going to need to go if they're really going to skyrocket into being a top company in terms of financials. So I hope you liked this video about GA Education Limited. Remember to smash the like button so we can give love and support to all the kids that go into the G8 education programs and into the centres and keys. Subscribe to the channel because you all matter, and take care out there, everyone. I hope you have an awesome day, and hopefully we'll see you at the next video. Take care out there.